Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know I post like twice a year, but it's just the way that it works for me for now. Today I really just want to talk about how you can better navigate your article years and things that you need to be really aware of, right? Like, I won't lie, when I started my articles I was very excited. I was happy, and I knew what I guess I knew what I needed to know, right? But I wish like I knew more. Like, I was aware of the fact that I'm going to work hell lot of hours, right? And that I'm going to work under pressure. So when that started happening, I wasn't shocked. Actually, I expected it to happen. So I was ready for all those long hours. I was ready because I was made aware, like, for a very long time. I knew. Anyways, in addition to having to work really long hours and having to work under pressure, here are the few other items that I wish I had known. Number one is the fact that hard workers get rewarded with more work. Now, I definitely have heard this saying like a lot. Even before I started articles, I've heard of this, but I didn't really understand. I think also because I was so passionate about audit and I just wanted to give it my best. I wanted to do my best at everything. I just wanted to be at the top of my game every day, right? So for me at the time, it just, until it started happening to me and I was like, okay, because when your seniors see that you work really well and you're actually like really good at your job and you don't shy away from like the challenging tasks, they are gonna give you more work. And this is from their side, honestly, it's because they trust you, right? So you're one of the people that they can trust to get something done. You're one of the people that they can rely on for the work to get done. So it's not entirely a bad thing, but for you who's on the receiving end, it's not gonna be good for you. It's not entirely good for you because firstly, you yourself, you get tired, right? You're going to experience burnout and you're going to be constantly stressed because you are being trusted with all these big jobs and all these big tasks, and like, people believe in you so much that like you're expected to always reach your deadlines because in the past you have demonstrated that you can, right? And that's not fair on you, because now it just seems like there's no consideration for you, your mental health. Also, you're always constantly working non-stop, and you're doing all these challenging activities or tasks that everyone is shying away from. And if like there's files that are left halfway, they trust you to take over it and get it done. So it's kind of a lot of pressure, and it's really stressful. And sometimes you put yourself in that position of being a hard worker, and it becomes really hard for you to start pulling back and start building boundaries, right? And now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't work hard, right? You should definitely work really hard, but I think having boundaries and being able to implement those boundaries is what's gonna help you from being overworked in comparison to everyone in your group, right? So you need to have healthy boundaries, and you need to be able to kindly decline, I don't have a better word, but to kindly decline some of the workload that is being pushed onto you. So another thing that I would like to add is, when you are a very kind person and you want to help everyone finish their work, so you end up taking over other people's tasks, or like offering to help them with their work, right? That's a good thing. I think if we are a team and you're pretty much done with your work, or you're currently on hold for whatever reason, then it's a good thing that you can jump on and help your other teammates. However, the lines can become very blurred, right? So usually what happens is, if you're gonna help someone, right? You're helping someone. Let's say you're helping them to document their, vouch for them, right? You need to make it very clear that you're helping and you're not taking over the whole task. So you're only doing a certain part of that working paper, and not the whole thing, right? You need to make it very clear, and if possible, have it in writing. You can send it through to them over Teams, and they need to, whether they acknowledge or not, it wouldn't be important, because at least you communicated that you're only going to do that part and you're not taking over the whole working paper, and that it's going to be up to them to review it, and if they're happy, they have to sign it off as their own work, right? So that is what helping would look like. You're not taking over the entire section. You're not taking over the entire working paper. You are doing a certain section and you are communicating that, okay, this is the part I'm helping with, and you can review. If you're happy, you can sign it off. And if they're not happy, it's up to them to make those changes, right? But then now you have nothing to do with the end result. You helped with what you could, and you gave it back to the owner. They had to review. If they're happy, sign it off, and that's it, right? So that's helping. And then there's the reallocation of work. So this can happen like for also like a lot of different reasons, right? So one of your teammates might also probably has like a very challenging section that they have to audit, or they are like, you know, there's some complication with the working paper that they're currently working on, right? And you being a good team player that you are, you want to help your teammate with the other work that they have not started with, right? So you ask them to reallocate a certain section or a certain working paper over to you, and you're going to take over that. So now that's helping, but now you're taking over the whole thing, right? Which means you're now responsible for that entire section, which means you are going to do the whole thing, all the work that is required, all the documentation, all of it, and sign it off, and you are going to be responsible for the review notes that come from it. It is now your working paper. That other person has nothing to do with it anymore. So this is why it's so important to have that, you know, clarification when you are helping someone. You need to understand if you are taking over the entire section or the entire working paper, and also or whether you're only taking over like a small portion which you're going to be helping with. So that's why it is very important that when you are helping someone, you need to communicate the extent of your help, right? So that there's no blurred lines. And also, guys, oh my word, if you are documenting for a person, please, when you are done, take a screenshot of what you documented and the areas that you couldn't fill in. Like, you know, sometimes there's not enough supporting documents and then, you know, you don't fill up some spaces. Take a screenshot or communicate with the person you're helping. Say, listen, I didn't do line XYZ because I did not get the sufficient support that I needed. This is very important because, guys, some people phantom tick. Okay, some people like feel so much pressure to complete their work that they literally fake evidence. So if that happens with something you helped with, they can easily say, oh, but XYZ documented for me, XYZ did this part, right? And you need the evidence to back you when you say, no, I didn't do this, this is all I did. You need the evidence, because if you don't have that evidence, they can blame you for their own phantom ticking because you did offer to help. So it's very important that when you're helping, you tell them what you're helping with, and if you do not get sufficient information to complete whatever part you're helping with, or if you're doing the whole, like, if you don't get sufficient evidence and you need to hand it back to the owner, you communicate the parts that you didn't do. Hey, you can even send it via email. Listen, I did XYZ, I couldn't do this because I didn't get sufficient evidence. Please keep following up with the client, or whatever you say, and leave it there, so that if they in any way try to fake evidence, you know you've got backup. You know you had, like, you know you are sorted, you've got files, you can pull your file and say, I didn't do that. I've got, like, it is so important to have evidence in such cases, because phantom ticking is a crime and it will get you cancelled. Well, your contract cancelled and you fired. And last but not least, document everything that can be problematic in the future for you. Everything. Make sure it is in writing. If the client is giving you a problem, email. Like, I know calling is always better to just call your manager or your senior and tell them, or like speak to them in person, but you need to email, and you need to be constantly following up with the client for whatever information you need, so that can also serve as your evidence. Like, for me, guys, now it wasn't an HR case, but it was my performance review. There were certain deadlines that I couldn't meet because the client was not ready, the information was not ready, and all that. And it really affected my performance review. But I fought, and I had grounds to fight because I had emails which proved that the delay was not on my side, and I was doing what I needed to do on my end to get what I needed. And the fact that I was communicating with the manager on email, I was literally sending emails, and I was including them on all my follow-ups with the client, so that they can see that I'm being proactive, I am chasing, I'm trying to get what I need so I can complete my work, right? But clearly they ignored all of that when they were doing my performance review, because how do you explain all that, right? But I was able to fight for that to be removed from my performance review, and I had like sufficient evidence for her, for the manager to remove all that nonsense. So that's it for the session. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Bye.